Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are attempting something pretty ambitious.
Just a little bit.
We are going to try and solve the two variables that essentially dictate the quality of your entire life: wealth and happiness.
Yeah, small topics, just a light, breezy conversation for a Tuesday.
Right. But here's the hook. And the reason we're doing this episode today, most of us are running the wrong operating system for both of these things.
That's a good way to put it.
We tend to think wealth is about getting lucky or maybe just grinding yourself into the ground for 40 years. And we think happiness is this personality trait you're either born with or you're not. You know, like, oh, Susan is just a happy person and I'm just wired to be a pessimist.
That is the standard narrative. But today's deep dive is based on the Almanack of Naval Ravikant, and if you take nothing else away from this discussion, take this one idea.
Okay.
Naval argues that both wealth and happiness are skills. They aren't accidents. They aren't just traits you inherit. They are skills you can learn, practice, and eventually master.
Which is a massive claim, a really massive claim. Because if they're skills, it puts the responsibility squarely on us.
It does.
If I'm broke or miserable, it's not just fate. It's, well, a lack of competency.
It is. It's terrifying, but it's also incredibly empowering. It means you aren't stuck.
Before we get into the how, let's set the context on the who. Who is Naval Ravikant? I mean, to some people in Silicon Valley, he's basically a deity.
He really is.
But for the listener who hasn't been glued to tech Twitter for the last decade, why are we listening to him?
So on paper, Naval is what Tim Ferriss calls a world-class operator. He founded AngelList, which, I mean, it fundamentally changed how startups get funded. He was an early investor in Uber, Twitter, Notion, Stack Overflow. The list is just absurd.
Right. So he knows how to make money.
He knows how to make money. But his backstory isn't Ivy League. He was a poor immigrant kid in Queens, New York.
Yeah.
A latchkey kid.
He practically lived in the library. Right. That was his story.
Exactly. The library was his babysitter, so he's self-made in the financial sense. But what makes him the perfect subject for a deep dive is that he's a philosopher at heart. He didn't just make money, he deconstructed how he made it. And then, when the money didn't fix his internal state, he deconstructed happiness with the exact same engineering mindset.
And that's our roadmap for today. We aren't doing a biography. We are doing a breakdown of his mental models.
It's the operating system.
Yeah, his operating system. We're going to cover three main areas. First, the wealth equation, how to get rich without getting lucky. Second, the happiness skill, how to find peace in a chaotic world. And third, saving yourself through health and wisdom.
All right, let's start with the money.
Okay, part one, the wealth equation. And we had to start with definitions because Naval is obsessive about language.
He really is. Words matter.
I think most listeners hear the word wealth and they just think high salary or lots of cash in the bank.
And that's the first trap. That's the very first mistake. Naval separates three things that we usually lump together: wealth, money, and status. If you mix these up, you lose the game before you even start.
So break them down for us. What is wealth?
Wealth is the goal. Wealth is assets that earn while you sleep.
The while you sleep part is the key.
It's the only thing that matters. Wealth is the factory, the computer code, the equity in a business, the intellectual property. It is a machine that produces value whether you are standing there or not.
Okay, then what's money in this model?
Money is just the transfer mechanism. It's how we move wealth around. It's a social credit. It's society saying, you did good work in the past. Here is an IOU for the future.
An IOU. I like that.
But the dangerous one, the one that trips everyone up, is status.
Why is status so dangerous? I mean, isn't status usually tied to wealth? The big house, the fancy car?
Often, but the mechanics of the game are completely different, and this is critical. Wealth is a positive-sum game.
Meaning we can all get wealthier.
Right. If I build a car company, I get rich, but you get a car. We both win. Society's better off. Status, however, is a zero-sum game.
Because for me to be number one,
you have to be number two. Exactly. Status is entirely relative. It's who has the nicer watch, who has the better title, who is sitting at the VIP table.
It's a ranking.
It's a ranking. And Naval warns that playing status games makes you an angry, combative person because you're constantly fighting to keep others down so you can stay up.
So the first rule of the wealth equation is seek wealth, ignore status.
Precisely. Status is a distraction. It feeds the ego, but it doesn't buy your freedom. Wealth buys your freedom.
Okay, so we want assets. We want things that earn while we sleep. But most people, probably most people listening right now, are stuck in the trap of renting out their time.
The 9 to 5.
They have jobs. They trade hours for dollars. Why does Naval say we can't get rich doing that?
It comes down to a really simple concept. The relationship between inputs and outputs. In a traditional job, your input, your time, is directly tied to your output, your salary. If you work 1 hour, you get paid for 1 hour. You stop working.
The money stops flowing. You're linearly limited by the clock.
Exactly. You have a ceiling. You can't scale yourself. You can't work 24,000 hours in a day. To get rich, you need to disconnect your inputs from your outputs. You need non-linear results.
And the only way to do that is equity.
You must own equity. You need to own a piece of a business. This is the holy grail. Whether you start the company or you buy stock, you need ownership.
That's how you catch the upside.
It's the only way. If you are just earning a wage, you are essentially a replaceable cog in someone else's wealth machine. You're building their equity, not yours.
I can hear the objection already, though. That sounds great for a venture capitalist or a tech founder, but I'm an accountant, or I'm a teacher, or I work in customer service.
Right. How do I do that?
How does a normal person actually get equity? You can't just walk into your boss's office and demand stock.
Well, you can, but... All right. Good luck with that. And this is where we move to part 2. This is Naval's framework for bridging that gap between employee and owner.
Okay.
He calls it productize yourself.
Productize yourself.
Right.
It sounds like a marketing buzzword, but it's actually really deep. Let's unpack it.
It's really 2 distinct steps. First, you have to figure out yourself. What is your specific knowledge? And you have to be careful here. Specific knowledge is not what you went to school for.
That's so counterintuitive. Usually we think our degree is our knowledge base. That's our main asset.
But if you can go to school for it, that means society has systematized how to teach it.
Right. There's a curriculum.
And if society can train you to do it, they can train someone else to replace you. And if you are replaceable, your price goes down. It's basic supply and demand.
So specific knowledge is the opposite of a commodity skill.
Right. Specific knowledge is found by pursuing your genuine curiosity and passion. It's the stuff that feels like play to you, but looks like work to others.
I love that distinction. Feels like play to me, looks like work to you. That's so powerful.
It's the only way you can compete. I mean, think about it. If you are doing something just because it's hot or because you want to make money, you are going to be competing against people who are doing it because they are obsessed with it.
And the obsessed people will crush you every time.
Every single time. They will work 16 hours a day and call it fun. You will work 8 hours a day and call it a grind. You cannot win that race. It's impossible.
Naval Gamgee's a personal example of this, doesn't he? Regarding his own career path.
He does. He grew up wanting to be an astrophysicist. He loved science, loved reading, but his mother told him, no, you're going to be in business. We are immigrants. We need money.
A pretty common story.
And she was right, but not because of his business degree. It turned out he had this innate ability to critique business models, combined with this genuine love for reading dense science and tech papers.
So he just combined them.
Exactly. He became a tech investor. He found the intersection where his natural traits made him a monopoly of one. He wasn't just a business guy. He was the business guy who really understood the underlying science. That is specific knowledge.
Okay, so that's step 1 of productize yourself. Find that weird intersection of skills and passions that only you have.
Yeah.
The second part is accountability.
Yes. You have to take risks under your own name.
Which is scary.
It's terrifying. Public failure is terrifying. But society rewards accountability with leverage and equity. If you're willing to put your name on the line, people will trust you with their capital and their labor.
But the downside is
Yeah,
you risk public failure.
you do. But in modern society, especially in the West, people forgive honest failure. If you try something ambitious and it fails, you get credit for trying. The real failure is not taking the risk in the first place.
So to synthesize,
Yeah.
find what you are naturally good at, your specific knowledge, and then put your name on it. Take accountability for it.
That's the core of yourself. Then comes the productize part. This is where we introduce the concept of leverage. And this is really the technical heart of the wealth section. This is part 3.
Okay, leverage. Naval quotes Archimedes here. Give me a lever long enough and a place to stand, and I will move the earth.
Wealth requires leverage. You cannot do it alone with your bare hands with just your own time. You need a force multiplier.
And he categorizes leverage into 3 buckets. There's labor, capital, and then what he calls the new leverage.
Let's run through them. The first is labor. This is the oldest form of leverage in human history.
I have people working for me.
Exactly. Which is usually seen as high status.
Very high status. People love to say, I manage a team of 50 people. It sounds impressive.
It sounds impressive, but Naval actually calls this the worst form of leverage for the individual.
Oh, really? Why?
Because it's messy. Humans are complex, they have problems, they need motivation, they quit, they sue you. Managing people requires tremendous leadership skills. It's very difficult to scale effectively.
Okay, so labor is tough. Then there's capital, money.
This was the dominant form of leverage in the 20th century. Think Warren Buffett. If you have money, you can use it to make more money. It scales beautifully. Managing $100 million isn't that much harder than managing $1 million.
Right. But, and this is a huge but, it is permissioned.
Meaning you need a gatekeeper. You need someone's permission.
Right. You need someone to give you the money. You have to convince a bank, an investor, a rich uncle. You can't just wake up one day and decide to have capital leverage.
Which brings us to the third bucket, the one he says is the game changer, code and media.
Naval calls these products with no marginal cost of replication.
That's a bit of a mouthful. Break that down for us.
Okay, it means that if I write a piece of software, or if we record this deep dive right now, it costs us time and energy to create the first version.
Sure.
But the second copy, the 1,000th copy, the millionth copy, it costs basically zero to replicate and distribute.
And the critical difference here compared to capital is that it is permissionless. That's the revolution. That is the single most important word. You don't need anyone's permission to learn to code. You don't need a production studio's permission to start a YouTube channel or a podcast. You don't need a publisher to write a blog.
So you can just start, and you can build an army of robots.
He uses that exact phrase. Coding is essentially writing a script for an army of robots that will do your bidding. And they work while you sleep. They don't complain. They don't quit.
And if you can't code?
You write books, you create media, you make videos. That is also an army of robots working for you around the clock all over the world.
So this deep dive right now, this is our army of robots.
It is. We are recording this once.
Yeah.
But thousands of people might listen to it, maybe for years. We are multiplying our effort. We are disconnecting our inputs from our outputs.
So the formula is becoming clear. Find your specific knowledge, and then apply permissionless leverage code or media to scale it up to the world.
Exactly. And when you do that, something incredible happens. You move from getting paid for your time to getting paid for your judgment.
Judgment. That's an interesting pivot. Explain that.
Okay, think about the difference between a junior engineer and the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar tech company. The engineer might be typing code 10 hours a day. Hard work, right?
For sure.
The CEO might spend most of her day walking around, reading, or just thinking. She might make 3 big decisions a year.
But if she's wrong on one of them,
The company crashes. If she's right, the stock doubles. Because she has massive leverage capital, labor, and code, her judgment is magnified exponentially. A small shift in her direction moves the earth.
so the ultimate goal is to be paid for your judgment, not for how much you sweat.
Earn with your mind, not your time. That's the mantra.
Love that. Earn with your mind, not your time. But stepping back, there's still this lingering question of luck. I mean, the title of Naval's famous tweet storm was How to Get Rich Without Getting Lucky. But come on, surely luck plays a role.
He clarifies this beautifully. He's not saying luck doesn't exist. Of course it exists. He's saying you can't build a strategy on it, and to do that, you have to understand it. So he breaks luck down into 4 distinct categories.
Okay, let's run through them.
First is blind luck, dumb luck. That's winning the lottery, being born into royalty. It happens, but you can't plan for it, so ignore it.
Right. Can't control it. Second,
Hustle luck. This is when you're running around, stirring up dust, meeting people, trying a million things. You are creating collisions and opportunities through sheer force of will.
that's the hard work creates luck idea. Fortune favors the bold.
It is, but it's exhausting, and it's not very targeted. The third kind is more interesting, preparation luck. This is where you are sensitive to luck. You have the skills and experience to spot an opportunity that others miss.
Like a skilled investor noticing a tiny trend before the market does.
Yeah.
Or a scientist seeing something unusual in the data.
Exactly. The luck was there for everyone, but only you grabbed it because you were prepared. But the fourth kind, character luck. This is the one Naval wants us to aim for.
Character luck. This is where luck becomes deterministic. Right?
Yes. This is where you build such a unique reputation, such a unique brand, your specific knowledge and accountability working together, that luck finds you.
The example he gives is the deep-sea diver, I think.
It's a perfect analogy. Imagine you are the world's best deep-sea cave diver. You are known for taking risks no one else will take and having the skills to survive. Someone finds a sunken treasure map off the coast of an island. They can't get to it. They have to call you.
You didn't find the map. You didn't start the expedition. The luck came to you.
Exactly. Your character ensured that the opportunity came to you. You didn't get lucky in a random sense. You engineered a situation where luck had no choice but to land in your lap.
So you want to position yourself so that luck is just the inevitable result of your character.
Precisely. You eliminate the randomness. You become a magnet for a certain kind of opportunity.
Now, part 4 of this whole wealth section involves the timeline. Because none of this happens overnight. This isn't a get-rich-quick scheme.
Not at all. And that's the final piece of the puzzle. Patience. We live in a world of instant gratification, but wealth creation, real wealth, relies on compound interest.
And he's not just talking about money in a savings account.
No. He's talking about compound interest in relationships, in reputation, and in knowledge. Naval says, play long-term games with long-term people.
He has a pretty brutal rule about who to work with, doesn't he?
It's intense. He says, if you can't see yourself working with someone for life, don't work with them for a day.
Wow. That sets the bar incredibly high. I mean, for life.
It does. But think about the math behind it. If you keep switching business partners or industries every 2 years, you are constantly starting from zero. You never get to the steep part of the compounding curve.
Because you're always rebuilding trust.
Exactly. Trust is the lubricant of business. If I trust you completely because we've worked together for a decade, we can do a handshake deal in 5 minutes that would take lawyers 6 months. That speed is wealth.
So play long-term games. Stick with it. Be patient.
He says 99% of effort is wasted in the sense that it doesn't pay off immediately. But you have to do the 99% to find the 1% that actually connects and compounds over decades.
Okay, so that's the wealth engine. Productize yourself with specific knowledge and accountability. Use permissionless leverage like code or media. Ignore status and play long-term games.
That's the system.
Now let's pivot, because this is where the story gets really interesting. Let's say you do all this. You get the equity. The army of robots is earning while you sleep. You have the money. Now what?
Now you realize the cruel joke.
Which is?
The money didn't fix the noise in your head.
Naval seems to have hit this wall himself very hard.
He did. He achieved everything he thought he wanted, and he was still anxious. He was still unhappy. And he realized that wealth solves your external problems, but happiness is a completely internal problem.
And this leads us to part 2 of our deep dive. The skill of happiness.
And again, just like with wealth, Naval starts by redefining the word. We usually think of happiness as joy or elation or excitement.
Yeah, like that feeling when your team wins the Super Bowl or you get a big promotion.
Right. But that is a spike. And biologically, every spike has a trough. What goes up must come down. That's not a sustainable state. Naval defines happiness as peace.
Peace, just calm.
The state when nothing is missing. When your mind stops jumping to the past with regret or jumping to the future with anxiety. It's a neutral state. It's the default.
He says the neutral state is actually a perfection state, which is so hard for us to grasp because we're all dopamine addicts. We want the thrill. We want the next hit.
But the thrill is the enemy of peace and the
Mm.
biggest driver of that restlessness. The thing that constantly pulls us out of the present moment is desire.
This is where we get into the influence from Buddhism and Stoicism.
And Naval drops one of the heaviest quotes in the entire book here. It's one you have to really think about. He says, desire is a contract you make with yourself to be unhappy until you get what you want.
I remember reading that and literally putting the book down. I had to just stare at the wall for a minute. A contract to be unhappy.
It's true, isn't it? I mean, really think about it. When you say, I really want that promotion or I really want that new car, what are you actually saying?
You're saying, I'm not okay now.
I am not enough right now. My life is incomplete. I will only be okay once I get that thing. You are actively choosing unhappiness.
You are contracting for misery in exchange for motivation.
It's a deal with the devil, in a way. So what's the solution? Do we just sit on a rock and want nothing? Because that sounds
Well,
boring and unproductive.
yeah, that's the common pushback. If I have no desire, I won't achieve anything.
And Naval isn't saying don't do things. We are biological creatures. We do things. But he suggests limiting those contracts. Pick your desires very, very carefully.
Pick your battles for unhappiness.
Exactly. Don't have 50 desires running at once. Don't desire the promotion and the six-pack abs and the perfect relationship and the new house all at the same time. You will be torn apart by anxiety.
So pick one.
Pick one big desire. Go after it. Accept that you are choosing to be unhappy about that one thing until you get it, but let the rest go. Be at peace with everything else in your life.
And one of the biggest drivers of those desires and unhappiness is envy, constantly comparing ourselves to others.
Envy is poison. It destroys peace instantly. But Naval has a brilliant mental hack for this that I find incredibly useful. He calls it the whole life swap.
The whole life swap. Okay, how does that work?
Okay, so you see someone online, maybe it's a celebrity like Elon Musk, or maybe it's just a rich neighbor with a new boat. You think, I want his life. Look at that money. Look at that house.
We cherry pick the good parts.
Exactly. We only want the good stuff. But Naval says, stop. You can't just take the line item wealth. You have to be willing to do a 247 100% swap with that person.
Meaning everything?
You have to take their body, their age, their bad knees, their family drama, their nightmares, their internal anxieties, their 80-hour work weeks. You have to become them completely.
And when you frame it that way,
You realize you don't want to be them. You want to be you. You just want to be a richer, better-looking version of you. But you don't actually want their existence. And that realization just, it kills the envy.
that brings us back to the idea that this is an internal game. He talks about single player versus multiplayer games.
Yes. Society, school, work. It all forces us into multiplayer games. Politics, status, hierarchies, these are all about how we relate to others and where we rank.
Who's winning, who's losing.
Exactly. But reality, your actual experience of existence is a single-player game. You are born alone, you die alone.
And all your thoughts, all your feelings happen inside your own head. No one else can hear them.
So happiness is about debugging that internal software. It's about winning the game you play against yourself.
So how do we win the single-player game? What are the actual drills for this skill? Because if happiness is a skill, we need practice.
The foundational drill for Naval is meditation. But I want to be clear here. He doesn't talk about it in a woo-woo spiritual way. He talks about it almost like computer programming. He calls it taming the monkey mind.
The mind is a tool, but for most of us, it has become the master.
Our minds are constantly chattering, regrets about yesterday, worries about tomorrow. It's like a monkey flinging, well, mess everywhere, all the time.
So meditation is the cage.
Not even the cage. It's just the practice of watching the monkey without getting involved. Just observing the thoughts without engaging with them, without judging them.
He has this concept I love, inbox zero for the mind.
It's such a great analogy for the modern world. He says we walk around with thousands of unread emails in our brains, unresolved issues, arguments we want to win, fears we haven't faced. If you sit down for 60 minutes and do absolutely nothing, no phone, no music, no mantra, just sitting, eventually, those emails start to bubble up and open themselves.
And it's probably painful at first.
It's agonizing at first, the monkey goes crazy, but if you just sit there, you process the thoughts, you resolve them, you let them go, and eventually you hit inbox zero. The chattering stops. And underneath all that noise, there is peace.
That connects to his framework for dealing with any negative situation in life. He says you always have three and only three options.
Change it, accept it, or leave it. That's it. Those are the only three valid options.
Change, accept, leave.
The misery, the suffering comes when you choose option 4. Wishing you could change it but not doing so, or wishing you could leave but staying.
So, complaining.
Complaining is a refusal to accept reality. It traps you in misery. If you can change it, change it. If you can leave, leave. If you can't do either of those, then you must accept it totally, but don't sit in that miserable middle ground.
And that idea of acceptance involves a pretty radical concept.
Yeah.
Embracing death.
It sounds morbid, but Naval frames it as the ultimate liberation. He says, life is a firefly blink in the night. We are here for such an incredibly short time.
So all our struggles, all our status games.
They will all turn to dust. In 3 generations, no one will know your name. No one will care how much money you made or what your job title was.
Which sounds depressing.
But it's not. It's the opposite. If nothing matters in the long run, then you are free. You're free to enjoy the moment. You don't have to carry the weight of the world or your legacy on your shoulders. You can just play the game. It makes life lighter.
So we have wealth as a skill involving leverage and specific knowledge. We have happiness as a skill involving presence, acceptance, and managing desires. Now let's move to the final part of the deep dive, saving yourself.
This section is all about radical responsibility. And Naval is very blunt here. He says, Doctors won't make you healthy. Teachers won't make you smart. Mentors won't make you rich.
You have to save yourself.
Precisely. You have to take ownership. The cavalry is not coming, it's on you. And the two pillars of saving yourself are health and wisdom.
Let's start with wisdom. For Naval, this really comes down to reading.
But not just reading anything, not just checking boxes. He has a very specific strategy. Read what you love until you love to read.
I think a lot of people feel guilty if they aren't reading smart books, or if they don't finish a book they started. They see it as a failure.
Naval says that's nonsense. He treats books like blogs or magazines. Skim them, jump around, read the last chapter first, throw them away if they're boring.
So the goal isn't to finish the book.
No, the goal is to find the nugget of truth. He says the number of books you finished is a vanity metric. It doesn't matter. What matters is what you learn.
And he focuses on foundations, right? The core subjects.
Yes. Don't just read the latest business book or the news of the day. Read the basics. Microeconomics, game theory, psychology, evolution, math.
Why those specifically?
Because those are the first principles. They are the underlying rules of the game of life. If you understand microeconomics and evolution, you can explain 90% of human behavior. If you have the foundations, you can learn anything. And if you can learn anything, you are adaptable for the rest of your life.
That's a superpower. Then there's health. Naval has a very specific priority stack here.
Physical health is number one, period. Above mental health, above spiritual health, above family, above the world.
That sounds selfish to some people. Putting yourself above your family, that's a hard pill to swallow.
It sounds selfish, but think about the logic. He quotes Confucius. A healthy man has 1,000 wishes. A sick man has only one.
Wow. That puts it in perspective.
If your body is failing, you cannot help your family. You cannot help the world. You are useless to everyone if you are dead or incapacitated. So prioritizing your health is actually the prerequisite for being selfless. It's the most selfless thing you can do.
And his advice on health is pretty simple. It's not about complex biohacking protocols.
Very simple. Diet and exercise. For diet, he notes that the combination of sugar and fat is deadly. It's rare in nature. You don't find sugar and fat together often, like in a donut or ice cream, but it's everywhere in processed food. So he leans toward a paleo style, eat what we evolved to eat.
And for exercise.
The harder the workout, the easier the day. It's about doing something every day that resets your system. He doesn't care if it's lifting weights or yoga or running, just do it every day.
So let's try to synthesize all of this. We've covered a massive amount of ground. We have the wealth equation, the happiness skill, and the responsibility to save yourself. What is the ultimate goal here? What does the one game look like?
The goal is freedom. That's the single word that keeps coming up again and again.
Freedom.
Wealth buys you freedom from financial worry. It buys you your time back. Happiness buys you freedom from internal worry. It buys you peace from your own mind.
So you're free from the boss and you're free from the monkey mind.
Exactly. And when you have both those freedoms, you can do what Naval considers the meaning of life. To do things for their own sake. To make art.
Right.
And not just painting or sculpture, but doing anything just because you love doing it without concern for the outcome. When you do things for the sheer joy of it, that is when you do your best work.
There's a paradox there, isn't there? A really big one.
A huge paradox. Naval says the year he cared the least about money, the year he just played and followed his intellectual curiosity, was the year he made the most wealth.
Because he was authentic, he was being himself, and the market rewarded that uniqueness.
Be yourself with passionate intensity. That's the call to action. No one can compete with you on being you. If you are truly authentically yourself, you eliminate competition.
It's a beautiful message. It takes the pressure off hustling and puts the focus on becoming.
And that's why the Almanack of Naval Ravikant is such a powerful book. It's not just an instruction manual for greed. It's a philosophy for a life well lived.
And a quick reminder for our listeners, this book was created as a public service. You can get it for free at navalmanack.com. Eric Jorgensen, the author, put it together from Naval's podcasts and tweets, and it is completely free. We highly recommend you go pick it up and read it, or skim it, jump around, find your own nuggets.
Absolutely. It's one of those books you can keep on your nightstand and just open to a random page whenever you need a bit of clarity.
Well, that brings us to the end of this deep dive. We hope you walked away with a few new mental models to test out in your own life, whether it's productizing yourself, auditing your desires, or just taking that hard work out to make the day easier.
The tools are there. The rest is up to you.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you in the next deep dive.